Welcome back to the HVAC Accelerated Success Program. In aviation, four main forces interact on the aircraft: lift, gravity or weight, thrust, and drag. When the relationship becomes uncontrolled, a stall, which can lead to an out-of-control spin, occurs. It is the pilot's job to get the aircraft back under control before it's too late. HVAC businesses also have four main forces that determine the company's outcome: demand, expense, product, and competition. Just like in aviation, when you can manage the balance of these forces, it enables you to fly your business wherever you'd like to go. In aviation and business, when the forces become unbalanced, you lose control. And unless you restore control, you may be in for a disastrous outcome. This week, we will explore specific indicators of these forces and look for opportunities to improve the performance of each of the 6 companies participating in the Accelerated HVAC Success Program. After these areas have been identified, we'll align great resources and locate opportunities that will help to maintain and restore control in their businesses. As business becomes more and more complex, you have more and more specialists and crew available to help you succeed. The problem with specialization is we do not live in a world where one quick fix can solve every problem a business faces. An aircraft and a business is a system, and it is all about maintaining balance to accomplish goals. The HVAC business cycle is a representation of this balance that must be maintained.
The answer to that, there's not enough income. We can always get a little bit more. At this point, at least what we're generating is able to cover the cost of the business, or at least at this point in time. We do have some free cash flow. So that's a good sign. Definitely, I want to improve our profitability of the business. I think one thing that I always want to keep in mind is that since this is the first year in business, we want to make sure that we're able to kind of cover end of year expenses. That includes taxes. So the short answer is yes, we definitely want more income, but at this point we are covered so far.
Would it be safe to say that you're not entirely sure, but you have a feeling that you are?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We'll put that down. And that's that cash flow, that cash spread that you're going to be doing, that's going to give you your answer. Full honesty and transparency. I've made famous mistakes and failures myself, and you're not going through anything that I haven't gone through. So I'm in the game with you just about 30 years later. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Gross margins, I think last time I calculated, we're around the 10% margin, actually an 8 to 10%. And this is kind of just rough numbers that I put at the beginning of the year. It wasn't taking into account the full overhead expense. So based on that, yes. However, once again, this is a very rough estimate of what our gross margin is, or at least our profit margin more precise.
Right. So your profit margin is, you're suspecting somewhere around 10%, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's a difference between a gross margin and then a profit. So there's 2 types of expenses. There's the operating expenses, and then there's your working capital. All right. So the money you need to pay your equipment, pay your installers, and pay for the materials, everything it takes to deliver the product. Okay, those are cost of goods. So sales minus that equals your gross margin dollar. Okay, and what's left over with all of your field expenses to deliver your services, what's left over pays for overhead, and hopefully there's a little bit of profit left over. On your replacement leads that are coming in, are you tracking your closing percentage at all?
Not yet. It's something that I'm actually working with my staff in trying to catch the number of leads. So that's not a metric that we're tracking, but we're creating a system in order to track so.
Now, when those leads come in, what happens if I shouldn't say lead, but I'm inquiring about upgrading my system, and where does it go? Who speaks to me, and how do I get a person out?
So the cycle of how a lead goes from a lead to an appointment and hopefully to a sale is that, let's say a customer calls the office, then he will be greeted by, we have 2 customer relationship managers that basically make the appointment, talk to the customer, get an idea of what their needs are, and then they schedule with that customer a home visit with one of our sales reps.
Okay.
So once that's scheduled, then we have a sales rep go into the house. Our sales reps can also take some technicians with them if there's more of a technical or a repair question in hand as well. So it's usually either a 1-person or a 2-person team that go into the house. They first do an overall diagnostic of the system to see if it just needs some maintenance, if it needs a repair, or if it needs to be if it needs a replacement. Then that's when the sales rep will basically kind of go through his presentation and then basically sell the system to the customer, or at least present the options that we offer to the customer. So a lot of what we do is customer engagement. We rarely do any business either over the phone or over the internet. I want to say 99% of our sales are after home visits. I will rather wait until we actually get financial reports to kind of come up with that answer. At this point, once again, kind of going to that first response, it's seen on cash flow that we have received. Everything's indicating that we're sustainable at this point in time. Directionally, I can't tell you where we're going, but at this point, we are sustainable. So when we started the business, we were originally projecting that we were going to try to accomplish $1 million in sales. We actually have surpassed that amount by 100%, which is really good. We have kind of broken the $2.5 million mark as of last month. So I want to say we met our forecast. As we progress into next year, I definitely want to see by year end where we stand, and then at that point in time, kind of start to determine do we want our business to grow at a 5% rate every year or at 10%? Ideally, I want our business to grow at 10%, but right now I just have to see what this first year and looks like at the end.
Yeah, well, I have to, hats off to you guys, because when the structure you did put in place was smart. I mean, you fixed your commissions when they sell. You fixed your install labor with your piecemeal work, which is perfect. So if you can control or manage the labor, as long as you're priced right, you're going to be profitable, as long as the volume's there. So kudos for that. That alleviate a lot of headaches right there. What, in your mind, would be the top 3 or 4 things that we discussed briefly on this list that you think would be the easiest to transform and quickest return?
So probably the first one is tracking our KPIs, making sure that we understand how many leads are turning into sales.
Okay.
And I think between you and the other consultants, I think you guys are putting some systems in place for us to be able to do so. I think the next easiest thing that you guys are going to help us accomplish is just financially get structure, or at least help with our financing structure, or at least from a reporting standpoint. We're going to have a better understanding of where we stand financially. So that's something that's really important for us. It's being able to track that on a real-time basis. And then third is something that I really enjoy talking with the other consultants. There's a big educational piece that I think my staff will really like.
For me, I couldn't have handpicked a better group to work with because everybody wants the same thing. That's to make you guys successful. And it's not about us, it's about you guys. And making sure you help you realize whatever your dreams are too. So excited about that.
Do you have a Google relevant website?
Yes.
Yes.
Replacement using menu pricing or flat rate?
Yes.
Using perfect pitch presentation?
No.
No.
I don't think so. KPIs, key performance indicators established for replacement and for sales?
No.
Nope.
That'll help. Okay. Do you have a financial strategy in place?
Maybe.
Not sure.
Not sure.
For these next few questions, we're going to go over service and maintenance, customer lifetime, productivity, just the different things about your business. Do you guys currently have a call conversion strategy in place?
No.
Financing, so would you guys say you finance about 70% of your installs?
No, more like 30%.
Do you guys have any key terms in Google established already?
Specifically, like
Yeah.
HVAC.
Yeah, heating and air conditioning,
Heating and air
condensers, so we'll say yeah.
Yes.
And then the key performance indicators established for your service and maintenance. So do you guys have maintenance pages? Do you guys have tune-up pages on your website currently right now?
I don't know. That I don't know. I have
That
not
we
looked.
generally will run seasonal as to our tune-up specials that we have.
Coupons.
We just need to make sure that we're branding them, updating those displays, and getting the promotions added to your website on a seasonal basis. And then service leads tracked and posted daily. Are you guys tracking the leads that come in, if they convert, if they don't convert, and why they're not converting?
We do track them, but if we have a service call that comes in, it converts almost. It's we dispatch, it goes into scheduling, and then it's dispatch. Whether it's 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning or 9 o'clock on Saturday night.
And then what company are you guys using right now as the dispatching software? What is the software you're using currently?
We don't.
It's
all.
called handwritten in a book.
We're not using any software at all other than QuickBooks.
Yeah, everything is, our programming, it's QuickBooks where we do the invoicing and everything, but we also have handwritten invoices for the gentleman in the field. And then, like I said, everything we keep track of is literally in a yearly planner, or it has, the customer's name and information, but we don't have any software to accompany that.
Now, you don't have a branding strategy right now, is that correct?
No, not really. Yeah, not a branding strategy.
Right. And certainly when you think about these, and we're going to have a brand, Matt call you and go over that. But that's part of a really, really neat little package that he develops for you. And, of course, you want to use how long you've been in business. That's something, right? Since the 68, something of that nature. That's how long since you're around? 67. That's great. And your answer to that was no. You certainly have a lot of products and options, right?
Yes.
Yep. I think that bundling them up, like you kind of suggested, or we suggested also in our good, better, best strategy, which we'll again talk about at another meeting tomorrow, will help you tremendously. I emailed Tom Whitman. I think his selling solution will really help you with that. It's just the way, instead of doing it on paper, it does it all on a computer. They have a load calculator on there. I think you'll like his product. It'll really help your salespeople and your sales presentation. The answer to that was no. And I think by that, we're mostly talking about service contracts, right? And we talked about that and how we want to get that going. And I suggest that, starting today, starting tomorrow, you can, Mike went over a little bit with you yesterday about how just add it on. It just becomes part of your everyday pricing, and every unit comes with a 1 year, 2 year, whatever it is. Do you think that would work? Am I oversimplifying it? Let's put it that way.
It would work. The trouble, and I don't say trouble, we need help trying to sell that, because right now we're barely getting the furnace prices priced at what we're priced at now.
Right.
Okay. And I don't think we're selling the value of us, and I don't think we're selling right. So currently it would be a struggle, because our customer would be like, God, another $300. Well, this guy over here is 100 less than you already. So,
right.
So we don't have extra fat in it right now.
And that's where we come up with the payments. We always want to just sell payments and not the $300. That's going to be not a hard thing to get over, but that's one thing that the salespeople are just going to have to remember. Never ever lead with the big number. Always the payment. Always. It's going to cost you an extra $5 a month. Well, that's easy. That's $300, right? So, but what you're saying is so common, very common among HVAC dealers who struggle with not having a good financing program. You don't have a call to action marketing program, correct?
No.
Is that something you guys would you think you'd benefit from, or you'd want to have?
Well, could you elaborate on what that would entail?
Call to action marketing is when you get somebody to call you for something right then and there. For example, I'll give you an example of what you've probably seen a million times in your career. Call us today if it's the middle of December. We will, if you purchase a 16-SEER air conditioner, we will give you the furnace for free. You've seen those kind of ads before. That's call to action. Like, call now so you can get this. There's a value to calling right now, as opposed to, hey, we're Centrair and we've been around and all the other good stuff. Call us when you need us. This is more of call us now so you can take advantage of this. That's call to action marketing. This time of year, I see it a lot where, call us, to do a furnace check. You know what I mean? $89. Give us your tune-up so we can come out and clean it or something of that nature. That gets your techs in the house. Then they can look at the other thing and, maybe get some deals out of it that way. So that's call to action marketing. So I'm assuming you haven't done much of that, right?
No.
And again, that's another thing that we can put on your website that really gets the phone to ring. What's presently stopping you from realizing that goal or that dream?
I guess I would say our hiccup is that we don't, on the service side, we're struggling to get a couple of large commercial contracts in-house. Mm-hmm. That would get you a consistent basis of commercial work, and then from there, once you get a couple large accounts, it's easier to get some more accounts. And I guess on the residential side, we never really put forth the marketing effort to be like a couple of the larger residential shops in town, to do the current websiting and the SEO marketing and all that type of thing. We've always mainly just focused the residential stuff on some of the smaller retrofit jobs, remodels for custom homes, and then a lot of the community action work was our mainstay.
No, we're not. Okay. I just had to think about it because, we'll get the free estimate. They'll give us a chance to go out and take a look at it, right? We'll go out there, take a look at it, send them the numbers, and I think sometimes I'm cheaper than other people, and they're still not going with it, and it's because of the delivery and the way it's presented.
For sure, that has been. We definitely need work there because we know we're offering great pricing, but we're not closing the deal on. as Kevin said, it's probably delivery.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people, when you say great pricing, Peggy, what's your definition of great pricing?
I mean, the cheapest.
Okay.
I mean, like, I know what our other competitors are charging.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if it's significantly lower than them, then that's a great price. And so, like, I know that, but we still don't get the jobs.
Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and tell you a great price is a price that sells the job. Okay.
Sure.
It is not the lowest price almost ever. Actually, in our company, if they told us, well, you guys were the cheapest, I'm thinking, can we withdraw our price then? Something's wrong with our price if that's true, right? Because we were never the cheapest, never the cheapest. And that was part of our brand. That was part of our strategy. I would expect that BMW is never the cheapest car. I would expect that Lexus is never the cheapest car, right?
And that just goes to show you too with technicians. I mean, you don't want the cheapest technicians either. I mean, and that's one thing that I'm trying to find the balance in is hiring a guy on that says he's worth $35 an hour that really is. I'll be honest, I haven't found one yet that I thought was worth that and that would fill out like that.
I guess you're right, David. So if somebody gave me 3 prices, and so maybe there was one that was cheaper, but this other one company saying, hey, but you know, we may be a little bit more, but we're offering more, blah, 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 blah. The way they deliver it would probably convince me to go that route as well. I guess that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and so so if you got, let's just focus on 3 because this is typical. So think good, better, best, right? You could even add a 4th in here, but let's say that the foundation is the government mandated minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in residential HVAC installations in our part of the country, we have a specialist. We have a guy that does this every day on the call with us. What is the minimum government standard, Brad, for HVAC condensing unit in terms of efficiency?
It's 14, SEER.
Think about this. If the government mandated minimum was the first option on your price page, and then you had a good, a better, and a best, right? And if you think about, so those are choices now. I'm giving you choices in pricing. And I've got, it's perfectly aligned with the way the new flat rate works on the service side. You got a Band-Aid, which is the government minimum. It is basically getting it back up and running with the least amount of money possible. Then you go silver, bronze, whatever, platinum. You got your different levels and you let them decide. Well, guess what? Most people do not go with the government minimum when you let them decide. Now, if you let a tech decide, they're always going to go the cheapest. And actually, if you let the customer decide, they'll almost never go the cheapest. I know because I used to run these kind of calls all the time, and I teach it today, and I work with contractors around the country that have multiple price options on every proposal that they do on a replacement job, and they sell hardly any government minimum equipment. And that's where the money is in our business, is not in the cheapest stuff. I mean, if you try to race to the bottom, I mean, there's a lot of people down there in that swamp that are trying to beat each other up. In fact, you used the word, or used the term a minute ago, Brad, you said our bids. BID is actually an acronym. You know what BID stands for?
Something broke.
Beat Idiots Deal. Think about that. You're trying to beat an idiot's deal. So somebody else has already got it cheaper than you, and you're trying to beat them on price. That's a losing proposition. I mean, I can remember times when I first got in this business where people were they'd say, man, I'm doing this whole job for $3,500. And I'm looking at my job cost estimate. I'm like, I got $3,500 in the equipment cost. How can you do that job for that? They can't, unless they stole the equipment, right? But they don't know how to do math. That's a real problem. A good price is a price that the customer is satisfied with, the company is satisfied with, the employees can get paid what they deserve, Brad's happy because he gets paid for the product that he's providing for you, right? So everybody winds up being happy. That's a good price, right? That's a great price if you get something at the end. So if you've got 10% or more, double-digit net profit or more after all the bills are paid, if you've got that money in the bank afterwards, that's a great price.
It's been a struggle for sure. I've gone through like HVAC agent and that was unsuccessful. I've gone to ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and Craigslist. I've done all this stuff and it's really hard to find talent. And then you have people that want a whole lot of money that we can't provide. So I was actually going to talk to you, David, about that one recruiter company that you were talking about that's actually part of this program.
Yeah, Hire Dimensions is the company, HIRE Dimensions. If nothing else, talk to them and get some ideas, right? It doesn't cost anything to talk. But
yeah.
Talk to them, tell them what you're up against, tell them what you're looking for. They got a strategy and it's already in place.
I've got my own test. So if we hire somebody on, I'll just sit there and I'll ask them some questions. I don't let them sit there and write it out because they can get on their phone or their watch or whatever. I like to just ask them a few questions. And one of the key questions I ask people, I say, what's a headmaster? Do you know what a headmaster is? 90% of technicians don't know what that is. And that's not good for me.
Well, one thing I learned a long time ago too is you got to hire them young and raise them right. And you got to train them because they just don't come out of They don't come out of school knowing what they need to know.
That's what we ideally would like to do, get them out of, the school, but then I need to hire someone to train them. I mean, Kevin, I guess, is too busy. He can't train them.
Well,
that's my issue with hiring these,
I've tried it and I can't be out there enough. I mean, I just can't.
No, there's no doubt. No, there's no doubt. You gotta have a strategy. You gotta have a plan, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't, then here's what happens. When you need people real bad, you hire real bad people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that. It's like, I just need somebody to fog a mirror right now. I just need a back that can lift a piece of equipment, right? They don't have to know anything. We'll figure it out, right? Nah, that's not going to work. That's not something that's sustainable, right? So, I mean, you think about this, and I've got a friend that owns a whole bunch of McDonald's restaurants, and I say, so Jack, what's it like being in the hamburger business? He says, I'm not in the hamburger business. You're not. He said, nope, I'm in the hiring and training business. He says, we're hiring all the time and we're training people how to fry fries, how to flip hamburgers, how to put them together, how to assemble them. We're teaching them how to clean restaurants. He said, we're in the training business because you know what their turnover rate is at a typical McDonald's? It's about 300% a year.
Wow.
They flip, except for management, they flip the people that are doing the line work, the front line work. They flip that whole restaurant 3 times a year. That's scary.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so you think you got it bad, try to run a McDonald's restaurant. But what he's done is he's got a process where he brings people into his business through, I'm going to teach you how to do this. I've got a training curriculum. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but you need to think that way when you think about hiring somebody. And it always starts with, what does your ultimate person in this role, right? Because you have multiple roles in the business. What does that person look like, sound like, taste like, smell like? What are the skill sets that they have? And if you think about it, there's a core under here that says they're going to be a good person. So I always use the Boy Scout law because I was a Boy Scout. So they had to be trustworthy. Like if they're going to steal from me, I don't need them. I don't care how technically competent they are. If they're not going to show up for work, I don't need them. That's not trustworthy. They got to be loyal, right? They got to be somebody that I can see spends time investing in the company that's investing in them, right? So they can't be one of these guys that jumps from place to place to place for another nickel, because I don't need that guy. I'm not looking for grasshoppers. I'm looking for people that are going to plant and grow, right? So they got to be loyal. They got to be friendly, because if they're jerks, I don't want to hang out with jerks. Why would I want my paying customers to hang out with jerks? So they got to be friendly. So trustworthy, loyal, friendly, helpful. If they see something needs to be done, they need to help somebody do it. They got to be courteous. They got to be kind. They got to be obedient. They got to follow the rules, right? So there's personal attributes that the person themselves must bring to the table. Because you can try to teach some of that stuff, but I always used to say it this way, and I still say it today. You can't teach them what their parents should have.
We do have the training in. Like, I purchased Igniter Labs. I told them I would give them raises when they completed it. Nothing was ever done. So obviously when we hired those people, they didn't have those attributes. We talked about this before for a while, and I learned a lot from that conversation. And, I'm okay with doing it again, man, because I think that Igniter Labs is a good training program. I think ICP has some great training stuff. I mean, we can really make some great technicians, but I will say the number one thing that has held me back from growing Top Tech Mechanical is my employees. And I do need to become a training facility. I mean, not an HVAC company, but a training company who trains great techs. And, I've already had enough work. I've already had more than enough work, and I can get there again, but it's going to be worthless if our people cannot perform like I would in the field.
You got to be able to deliver the product. That's
Exactly.
what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You need people that you can build into your culture and exemplify your brand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We normally do. This last year, it just got dead. And I think it's just because I was overstaffed. I've always tried to operate on 2 to 3 techs, and we had 6. And I think I made some account changes. I had a lot of my eggs in one basket. They were a lot more of a burden than they were a profit. So I kind of cut out some customers and made some adjustments.
So when you think about those 2 black blocks right there, 5-star installation and 5-star service and maintenance. I mean, 5-star is I'm getting a 5-star review, right?
Absolutely.
Those are part of the foundation here. If we don't deliver a product that is relevant to the customer, that is perceived as 5-star service, do you think that if you are delivering 5-star top tech service, that customers might be willing to pay 5-star prices for that? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's not about being the cheap guy, right? You're not going to get 5-star service for 1-star pricing.
No.
It just doesn't work, right? The basic law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. It's never going to happen. If you pay a little, they're going to try to cut corners to even get below what they're charging you. Right?
Yeah, I don't want to be a cheap company. I've advertised a free consultation before to try to get people to click and call me so I could set them up a service call. And I did that when I first went into business, and I got a lot of cheapskates, and they did not want to pay $1 once we actually got out there and gave them a vote. And I don't want
customers you do not want. And I tell all my contractors, I'm like, hey, listen, when it comes to, you don't want every customer. You're going to have to break up with customers sometimes. And specifically the ones that want the cheapest price. Just throw your hands up. You know what? This is not a good partnership for me, because every homeowner is a partner for you, and that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Our statement was this: when we identified one of those guys or gals on the phone, we just flat fire them. We would say, sometimes we're just not the right kind of company for every customer. It sounds like we may not be the right kind of company for you.
That's a great thing about Trevor. He's really got that filter down. Like, he uses his gut on that, and he does immediately get his gut feeling, and he will just let a customer go, and he'll just shoo them away if he feels like they're going to be a bad customer. So
it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, sometimes we're just not the right kind of company for every customer. It is me. That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we're just not the right kind of company for every customer. It sounds like we may not be the right kind of company for you. Would you like me to introduce you to somebody who's more in line with what you're thinking about? I know you've been using subcontractors. Are they typically able to get your installs on residential side done in one day?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we know your sales closing percentage right now is not over 70%.
I gave a needs assessment to y'all. I think y'all have it here. It looks like you copied it. Thank you very much.
I can tell you this, that guy right there, He's in charge of ops, meaning installation and also service.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So with service,
wait. The guy down here that doesn't do anything?
he does it all. Remember, he does.
Oh,
it all.
I'm sorry. He's the guy that does it all.
So our process is simple: is that our technicians are not alone.
Okay.
You have to hire people that believe what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't look for people that are looking for a job, because we made that mistake last year. So we made a decision as a team to hire people that believe what we believe. Every one of our technicians, they're not allowed to sell. We don't have selling techs. We just have technicians. When they're on call, they are to call the service manager. That way we can bounce FaceTime, bounce ideas, double, triple check, make sure that we only suggest what's required of them. And what that does, it does two things. It brings validity, because you have a senior technician or the operations manager, him, talking to a technician who is only focused on one problem. We're able to bring in the big picture and walk him through the process as to how to address a customer, how to relate to the customer, how to communicate the problem, because that's the biggest piece, right? Communication.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, now you have the expert behind them. So every one of our technicians, the process is we have a third-party validation that every single one of our techs runs through the operations manager. That then leads into our process, which is a flip, which then turns into a sale.
So my wife and I had our preseason AC tune-up. We've worked with a local company, a credible company, and they sent their senior AC tech out because we have a maintenance plan. He's here comes the guy. And, I don't think he was outside for 5 minutes before he walked inside with his menu out, going like, well, we might limp you through the summer, right? And it automatically went from like my feeling about a company that I have enjoyed working with to like, man, this is just disingenuous, right? It feels just flim-flammy. Then 2 weeks ago, we needed some electrical work done, and the same guy shows up. The exact same guy shows up, right? And I'm like, what is that? Okay, so are you an electrician, or are you the AC guy? Are you some kind of hybrid? What are you? And they use that selling tech model, because then it was, well, have you thought about upgrading the panel, or do you want a surge protector? Or it was like, did you even look at the panel? It's almost brand new, and by the way, we have a surge protector. It really lowered my opinion of the way they went about it. Now that could have been a stylistic failing on their part, but I think what you're describing, that I can interface with the operations manager and I can get a fully informed expert, high-level expert opinion before taking the next step, only builds credibility in my opinion, right? I mean, I really think that's great.
And the thing is culture. We talked about the 3 W's, right? The customer has to win, the employee has to win, and then trust me, the company will win.
My interaction with the guys is not as much as theirs, but I think just having a good line of communication with them, that they can call me at any time when they know when to call me.
Yeah.
They know personally when to call me when it's not a question for these guys. I think it's just having that open communication, that they feel like you can come to Melissa and it's okay. I'm not bugging her. They call me all the time. Whatever time, and they know when to call me. So I don't know. I think it's just having that open communication, that it's because when you I've worked in the corporate world, and I've worked in, and when you have a good relationship with your managers, with your owners, with your people, that contributes to the Our slogan everywhere and on our shirts is a new frontier in clean air.
So every system that we install comes with a branded MERV 11 April air filtration system, 24-volt UV, right? Then we have different levels, and that's a conversation we have. Option 1 is a MERV 11, option 2 is a MERV 13, and an option 3 goes into our Sweet 16s, certifiable, guaranteed, 90% reduction from 10 times cleaner air. So into a sense that I have when we first started, we were selling more filtration systems than we were systems. That's where we started. We see an opportunity here in the city.
Yeah, we're one of only 2 companies here in the city that are certified in clean air through April Air, through the
humidifiers,
IQ Air.
Yeah.
Through,
Wow.
We were big on doing the clean air before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's probably gone even higher in terms of results. The CSR piece, it seems like the tone, the stoke for that, the phone piece, that was pretty energetic. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 2, the website stuff. Nobody's really managing it, but you're getting blitzed with calls. Is that also fair?
Yeah.
You throw in social media in there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, social media. I mean, we have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
That we set up, but I mean, like I said, it's not real. It's that takes almost a whole other person to help to manage, which is what I need to do.
Okay. So for me then, next steps, I am going to reach out to both the web/social team and the CSR team and invite them into our next call.